All right. Where does Tennessee go from here? You thought it was going to be Sam Leavitt. You thought it was going to be Brendan Sorsby. You heard rumblings about Ty Simpson. Now they're sort of scrambling. And I'll say this to Tennessee fans. Your time is coming. I truly believe that. You are entering a 3-year window right now. And next year, I'll keep it a buck with you. I'll be honest, it's not the year. You have a new defensive coordinator, and most likely you're going to have a freshman starting quarterback. And I look at that year one defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles, what he's done in year one, his first year at Duke, 106th in least points allowed. Oklahoma State, first year, 78th. Ohio State, 21st. Not great for Ohio State standards. Goes to Penn State. You saw what happened there in Happy Valley last year. You look at the offensive side of the ball, whether it's Faison Brandon or George McIntyre, not sure. But the 5-star quarterbacks of recent, man, 5-star freshman quarterbacks, that is, I'll name you some. Cade Klubnik, Nico Iamaleava, Dante Moore, UCLA, not Oregon, Jackson Arnold, DJ Lagway, Dylan Raiola, Bryce Underwood, Julian Sayin. Maybe Faison or GMAC could be different. Maybe Josh Heupel goes to the FCS level and poaches Taron Dickens from Western Carolina. But I see the track record of Jim Knowles' results, year one. And players have even said, yeah, it takes years to learn that scheme. It's got to take a year-to-year buy-in. And then I look at how these 5-star quarterbacks have looked as freshmen. Not a good combination. But I didn't make this video to bash Tennessee. Because long-term, if Tennessee stays the course, if the boosters are patient, if the fans are patient and Josh Heupel and see the long-term vision, Tennessee can be competing for national championships. The train is moving. This is how I would define it. The train is moving. Just moving a little bit slower than anticipated, but trust me, there's a beaming light at the end of that tunnel, and I'm going to tell you why. Defensively, Jim Knowles is a long-term investment. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is you put your money in the S&P 500 and you leave it in there. You don't take it out for a while, and you let it grow and grow and grow, and it will. Jim Knowles at Duke turned Duke into a top 25 defense in 3 years. This is before the portal, so that's a dang hard thing to do. Goes to Oklahoma State, top 10 defense in 3 years there. Ohio State, he went from 21st in least points allowed as their D coordinator to second in 2023 to first in 2024. And I look at this Tennessee team. They're the youngest Power 4 team in the FBS last year. With the way they've been recruiting, there's a lot of talent on this defense. Combine those resources with Jim Knowles, his process, and his results, yeah, there's a beaming light at the end of that tunnel. You just have to stay patient. And you look at the offensive side of the ball with Faison Brandon. Look, I mentioned 5-star freshman quarterbacks, not the greatest track record. But you look at his situation long-term. Look at the guys that he has around him. All SEC freshman Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews, a former 5-star, Ethan Davis at tight end, who's really good. Look at that Florida game. Travis Smith, Tristan Keys, another 5-star receiver. He's got elite weapons around him everywhere. And you look at what Josh Heupel just did with Joey Aguilar. Joey Aguilar led the SEC in passing yards last year. This is a former JUCO guy. So if there's anyone that can make a lot with little, it's Josh Heupel. Give him a lot. You could get Hendon Hooker results there. And I find it interesting that Heupel went the opposite archetype from Nico to Faison Brandon. Because Nico was a potential guy, right? He was under 60% completion percentage in high school. Faison Brandon, you look at his high school resume, man, over 70% completion percentage, 2 state championships, would have been the consensus #1 recruit if he hadn't gotten hurt his senior year. He's a proven product with a lot of talent. Now, all of a sudden, 3 years later, you've got a high 5-star quarterback in his junior year with 4- and 5-star talent surrounding him. That recruiting class that Tennessee just signed, that's their best recruiting class in a decade. They're mature. They're all juniors. You've got one of the best quarterback developers in the sport in Josh Heupel with that offense. You turn to the defensive side of the ball. You've got one of the best D coordinators in the sport in Jim Knowles, and you see his track record that he has with every single school he's been to in year 3, and you see that talent that Tennessee just signed. They're all older. They're juniors. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a recipe for a national championship. So Tennessee, offensively and defensively, is entering a 3-year window. We're in year 1 of it right now. So Tennessee fans have got to stay patient because everything is there. Resources, play calling on offense, play calling on defense, talent level to go out and to win a national championship in these next few years. And at the very least, compete for one. But my fear with Tennessee is not in the coaching. It's not in the personnel. It's the boosters get impatient. This train is moving really slow. And then all of a sudden, Heupel's asking for these resources to go get these guys in the portal or to keep these guys from leaving, and the boosters are out. Think about what Kentucky did with John Calipari, okay? Something like that. That's my fear. Because the vision, you see the long-term vision, it's there in Knoxville. But you just have to stay the course and get the enough resources to keep this core together. I don't know if there's a better play-calling duo in the sport right now than Josh Heupel on offense and Jim Knowles on defense. But like I said, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme for Tennessee. This is you put your money in the S&P 500, and any great investor will tell you don't take that money out. Don't take your money out with Tennessee. Stay patient. That's my advice to the fans because everything is there. They must understand the long-term vision because their time is coming.